Yeah.
It's either the wire or the
Hi, everybody. So if you all would, I'm going to mute everybody because there's some background noise. Okay, Alex, you need to unmute. I'll unmute. And David, we need to unmute you. Okay, we're good to go. David, unmute.
Hi.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right, we're ready. We're recording.
You go? Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the September 2021 Current Fire Safe Council webinar. I'm David Stenstrom, and here today, along with Julia Naiman. And thank you guys for tuning in. I just think this some of the information, the information we've gotten here, some of it is priceless. But this month we have Alex Garibay from Community and Climate Equity at Southern California Edison. Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Well, you're going to update us today on wildfire safety and emergency preparedness, correct?
That is correct, and a few more other things.
And a few more surprises. Well, you know, if you and folks, if you're watching, if you have questions for him, enter them and put them into the chat box, and then Alex can answer them at the end of the program. And if you come up with a question after we finish today, you can still put it, write it in, and we'll get you an answer on the website, which is kernfiresafe.org. Julia, are we ready to go?
We are ready to go.
Okay, then without further ado, Alex Garibay. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We know that it's an interesting time, right? Because it's 5 o'clock. Most of us are winding down or getting ready to go home and, you know, do our things at home. So we promise to make the time that you're spending with us valuable and be able to provide you with great resources for that. So that way you're in the know of what Edison has available for you. And as I'm speaking, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And when I share the screen, you know, I'll be giving you information on what we're covering. And obviously, all of this stuff will be sent as a follow-up after the webinar. So if you are joining us and you are listening to this recording on another day at another time, please make sure that you check with your points of contact from the organization so that you can get the links to everything that we are sharing. So before I dive in, can I get a thumbs up if you're seeing my webpage that says at the top, our response to the COVID-19 outbreak? Just want to make sure we're good. Or a head nod?
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it. It says that you're sharing the screen, but we're not seeing anything.
Interesting.
I'm
All
not
right.
seeing it either.
Try this again. Bear with me. You know, we tried this before you guys came on, but you know how technology is.
That's right.
It decided
All right.
not to work.
I'm trying
There
it
it
again. Let me know if you...
It's
All
there.
right, cool. Let's get started.
Okay. Yeah, there it is.
For full disclosure, as we were prepping for this webinar, I did get a preview to some of the questions that were asked and some of the information that is needed. I will be fully transparent with you. Some of those questions do fall outside of my area of responsibility. And I like that because that means you guys are thinking of just additional stuff that benefits your community. So if we don't have the answer for you, like I told the folks here on the line, Julia, is that we're going to go back. I'm going to look for the information and we'll send it as a follow-up with resources to help you answer the question. So with that said, just a quick outline of what I'll be covering is just giving you an update on what programs are available for customers that have been impacted by COVID-19. And then we'll go into resources available for how a customer can prepare themselves in the event of a wildfire, and also just emergency preparedness tips and resources available for you, right? So then as I'm talking about these topics, I'll be going a little bit back and forth on the website so that way you can see what I'm speaking to. And then you'll have the links available so that way you can visit those at your own time, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things that we acknowledge from the utility is that although, you know, COVID-19, it's coming, it's going, cases are decreasing in areas. Unfortunately, in some areas, we're seeing more cases. we understand that the impacts of COVID are going to be here for a while, unfortunately. And what I mean by that is financial impact. Unfortunately, maybe you know of someone, or maybe you are that person, and there's nothing wrong with it. Are faced with situations with being financially impacted. Maybe you lost your job, or your income is not what it used to be pre-COVID. Therefore, decisions have to be made, as in, do I pay my utility bill? Do I spend money on the groceries? Do I pay the rent? Do I pay the mortgage? These are decisions that are having to be made at homes. So from the Edison side, we want to bring awareness to different programs and resources that are available for customers in that situation. The number one thing that I want to call out, which it's coming to an end in the next couple of days, is customers that were not able to pay their electric bill because of losing their job or any impacts of COVID. Edison suspended the service desk connections through September 30th. So the question is now, okay, Alex, what happens October 1st? Am I going to have Edison blowing up my phone, sending emails, you guys need to pay or we disconnect? That's not going to happen. What I highly do encourage you to do so is for you to reach out to us. Let us know of your situation. And there are different assistance programs available. One of them, if you haven't been able to pay your bill over a period of time, you can be put on a payment plan to pay for that. And obviously the representatives on the phone will ask you those questions so that you can be qualified and allocate you in the right plan. There's also a program called Energy Assistance Fund. And this program is for customers that may be eligible to receive a one-time payment assistance to cover their electric bill. I believe it's anywhere from $200 to $300. And then we have programs that have been here before COVID and will be here after COVID. And these programs are CARE and FARA, which is what's here in the second paragraph that I'm highlighting. And these programs are for folks that are in low-income situations. If eligible and approved, customers can receive a discount of up to 30% in their bill. And then last but not least, for customers that have medical equipment at home that needs to be plugged in around the clock, 24/7, there is a program called Medical Baseline. And what this program is that if you're a customer that needs to have equipment plugged in all day, obviously you're using a lot of energy, right? So what this program does is that it puts you in a different rate. So that way you're paying less for your energy because of your medical condition. So all that information can be found here. If you go to the website, and again, we'll follow up with the link to this website. What you can do is you can navigate, click on Find the Right Assistance Program for you. Or here at the bottom, we have links to different PDFs with all this information. It is available. The fact sheets are available in different languages, as you can see. But one thing that I want to point out, if a person has an in-language need other than English, our websites are also capable to translate to different languages. And if the way you do that is once you go on the website on SCE.com and wherever you're navigating, on the upper right-hand corner, you just click on the English drop-down menu, and then you just select whatever language is your preference, and then all of the content will translate to what you select. So I just wanted to call that out, okay? Our next portion, and again, if you have questions as I'm presenting, please feel free to put them on the chat. We'll go ahead and be visiting the chat, and we'll make a decision if we answer it right then and there, or if we wait till we just cover one area. So that way you don't have that moment where like, oh shit, I was gonna ask something and I forgot, because it happens to me a lot. Okay, wildfire and emergency preparedness. We have this one pager that provides a lot of great information on what you can do as a customer of Edison to prepare yourself for a wildfire or an emergency. So I'll go through it in the next few minutes. At the very top, where you see portable power station or battery storage rebates, we have rebates available for customers to purchase batteries or portable storage units so that you can have at home. We do have a website that's called marketplace.sce.com. And right there, it gives you the different products available and the rebates that are available. And again, tying it to what I just shared with you a few minutes ago, this is something worth looking into if you, again, have medical equipment that needs to be running on electricity around the day. Looking into possibly getting a backup battery to have, or a generator in the event that your power goes off. One of the things I always say is that, it's nice living in California, right? Because we have pretty much really good weather for 10 to 11 months a year. However, with that also comes our 5th unofficial season, which is wildfire season. And as we have seen, wildfires continue to happen. This year has been severely moderate, but in previous years, we've seen wildfires cause a lot of damage to homes and folks that are somehow in a way still recovering, right? So the better you're prepared, we want to bring awareness to these resources. And then towards the bottom half of the sheet that you are seeing is, in the event of a wildfire that you have to be evacuated and you cannot be home, we do have what we call our community crew vehicles or community resource centers. And what these are, it's the crew vehicles are small little vans with the Edison branding, the logo, they're yellow. And basically they provide resources for customers that have to evacuate. You will most likely be able to get snacks, water, charge your phones, and we'll have multiple battery chargers to be able to charge your cell phones if you need to, and then provide you with additional resources. The community resource centers are locations that we have identified that we can open in the event that customers have to be evacuated for a long period of time. So obviously when there's a disaster, we set these up as triage support in, like a disaster. And the way that you will get notified is 2 ways. One, we highly encourage you to sign up to receive notification alerts, and I'll talk about that in a second. The other way is if a crew vehicle or a community resource center is stood up in your area because of a disaster, we will let the organization know so that way they can share with you guys as a community. So they will send an email, or the way they communicate saying, hey, if you need water, if you need ice, if you need to charge your phones, here are the crew vehicles, or here's the community resource centers, depending on how bad the situation is. And then the last piece, which I kind of teased it up a little bit, is we want to encourage you to sign up to receive customer notifications. And this works in many ways. You can sign up to receive notifications if there's an outage. You're able to find out how long the outage is going to be out, an estimate, of course, the area that's being impacted. You're also able, if there's going to be a public safety power shutoff because either maintenance or for other reasons, you'll be notified. So that way you can plan ahead and be able to prepare yourself, whether it's, if you were planning on buying, doing like a gathering and you see there's something happening, at least you're in the know. So again, we'll provide a link to this PDF to give you access to those resources, and you can get more information. Okay. So we're halfway there. I promise you we're going to keep it short. So I really appreciate you guys hanging in there. The next piece is a new website that we just recently created. It's our website that has a lot of the resources that I just shared and then more. And this website is targeted for individuals with access and functional needs, or as others refer to as with disabilities. The website has multiple great resources where folks that, if they need, like I said, medical baseline, the program is here. It tells you how to sign up for a customer notification, talks about the different programs, and it also highlights our partnership with 211. So just how you have 911 for an emergency, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know if 411 is still available, but I know I used to use that a lot as a kid. Is you would call 411 for general information. 211 is the same concept, but it provides services for folks that have a disability or an access functional need, and they need some sort of service. So an example of this would be, let's say it's somebody that is at home, they're on a wheelchair and they need to leave their home because there's a wildfire, right? And again, I'm giving you the example just to illustrate the service. There's nobody with that person at the home at the moment, and they need to evacuate. So what they can do is they can call 211. They will provide their information, location, and then somebody will be deployed to be able to bring that person to a safe place, whether it's the community resource centers that I talked about, or a community crew vehicle if they need some type of ice or recharge their batteries, their cell phones, or just need any other type of service. So this is a partnership that just launched in August. And we just want to make sure that customers are aware of this, especially those like you guys that live in a high fire risk area, because you never know. You can be in a situation where you need to evacuate, you need help, and maybe your family member or friend or caregiver is not available at the moment. So we just want to be able to highlight that. And again, a lot of the programs that I mentioned that provide financial assistance, there's links here available also. And then it just provides more information on emergency preparedness tips, learning what is a public safety power shutoff. I always struggle with that word. I'll get it right one day, I promise. And then just additional rebates and incentives. And while I'm here on the website, on the left-hand side, and again, this is through SCE.com. We'll provide you the link. We have a whole section that just talks about just all of the efforts that Edison has been working on to improve wildfire and safety within our regions where our customers reside. So I highly encourage you to visit them. And then the last two pieces is YouTube. Obviously, YouTube is a beholder of everything. Between you and I wish I would have had YouTube when I was in school, because it would have made it a lot easier, especially with algebra and calculus. So I always tell my daughter, I don't know why you struggle. You have YouTube. Come on, let's think outside the box. So there's no exception to it, right? Edison, we use YouTube, and I can honestly tell you that I've seen a progress, an improvement in our video content that we are uploading on a continuous basis. We make sure that our videos are short and to the point. From what you see here that I'm sharing with you, I mean, you see videos that are 16 seconds long on giving advice on tree trimming, a public service announcement on metallic balloons, and why should you be careful. So we keep the video short. We do have some ones that are a little bit longer, maybe 1 to 2 minutes, but it's to help tell a story, right? For example, sometimes we do stories on our linemen that are working out in the field, and they'll explain a process of, as we were talking earlier with David and I, how you replace a pole, and some customers like to know that. Why not? So we provide that as a resource. So I highly encourage you to visit our YouTube channel. We also have videos on what you can do in the event of a power line, because that's important. Sometimes you think you may be doing the right thing, but you're putting yourself at risk, and you always want to be safe, right? And then just videos on emergency preparedness, tree trimming, vegetation management. And if the video doesn't have its own version in a different language, when you click on the video, it'll give you an option to do a closed captioning, and you obviously get the closed captioning, but also select the language of your preference. So take a look at that and check them out. And then last but not least, everything that I said right now, if I want you to remember one of the pages, is this one, is sce.com/wildfire. Everything I talked about will be on this page. As you can see, if you scroll at the bottom, it gives you categories from PSPS alerts, which is signing for alerts to know when there's going to be a power shutoff, when it's going to be restored. Emergency preparedness, it gives you tips. Tips as simple as, do you know how to open your garage door manually in the event that you have to evacuate and the power is turned off, and that's your only way out? Quick little story, and I'll wrap it up. I tested this with my parents. I'll be honest with you. I've been managing this program for a little bit over a year, so there was a lot of new things for me to learn, and I wanted to walk the talk. I went to my parents' house and I told my dad, "Hey, Dad, do you know how to open your garage door manually?" "Yeah, you just pull the string and ready to go." "Have you done it?" "No, it's so simple." "Well, let's go try it." I'll be honest with you, I wanted to see how it worked. And as soon as he pulled on the string, guess what? The string ripped, and he's just looking at me with the dangling string and then the little red cap, just like, he's like, good thing we're trying this, because we need to replace it. So he got the motor, everything replaced, and he was able to do it. But it's those little things that sometimes we don't think of, not because we're irresponsible, but we just haven't had the need to look at that stuff, right? So think of your evacuation routes, having an emergency kit available. If you have prescriptions, maybe have them written down in a piece of paper or give them to a relative to have them. The one thing that it always blows my mind, because I remember when I was a kid, which was many years ago, I used to remember all of my friends' phone numbers. I probably remember like 15, 20 phone numbers like that. I probably know, let's see, I know my parents' home phone number because I've had it for years. I know my daughter's cell phone number, and that's about it. And I probably have about maybe 70 to 75 contacts on my phone Granted, not all of them are urgent in case of emergency, but I guarantee you I should know at least 5. So I'm not telling you to go memorize them, but again, have them written down somewhere in the event that your phone battery dies and you cannot charge it. So it's just those little things, right? And then what you also see on the website is a link to the different customer care programs, like what I talked about, medical baseline and applying for rebates, and then just other resources on how you can stay safe and informed around wildfire mitigation and just different resources that we have available. So I talked your ear off, I know, and I am very thankful that you allowed me to share this with you. You know, I want to now turn it over to questions. I do see some of the questions that, were posted in the chat at the beginning of the call. So I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about those. But as we're having this conversation, if something comes to mind, please feel free to drop it in the chat or speak up so that you can share. So one of the questions is, how can we volunteer to aid fire safety? I'm not 100% sure that the volunteer programs we have available are open to the public. I know that we do share this information with our employees. So we do have a program within the company that we ask employees, based on your location, or if you're open to go to an area where there's a wildfire or something like that, would you like to volunteer? And we've had a really good number of employees that have raised their hand and said, yes, I want to help out. So please let me know when I can assist. The other one is, how much does fuel load in an area lead to PSPS? I'm not exactly understand that question. So I'll probably have to get back with you on that one. And then the other one, there's also a power outage in Fraser Park right now. First of all, I hope you're being safe, and I really hope. I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. But you know, I don't know if you're on the PSPS notification alerts, but I highly encourage you to sign up. I know it's helped me when I lost power in my area, be able to plan out. It tells you more or less an estimated time, but please, again, hope you're being safe. And I'm sorry you're dealing with that. I know it's an inconvenience, especially, you know, when you're wrapping up your day and you know, maybe you may have family over, you got to do dinner, or even if you just sit on the couch, you want to have your power working. So again, being safe, and I'm sorry you're dealing with that.
Alex,
yeah,
there were a couple people in the wait room are trying to get in, and I think you have the host part. So I just want to call that to someone's attention.
I'll take it back and do it.
All right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Julie.
Okay, it's done.
Okay. I stopped sharing my screen, but that doesn't mean I'm not taking any more questions. Any more questions from the team? Or I know, Julia, you and I were talking a little bit at the beginning. I don't know if you want to give an update on some of the items we talked about and what we're going to do to follow up.
I do. And also I want to say to the people that just came in, I apologize that we couldn't bring you in, but Alex had the host feature and you weren't showing up on my screen as waiting. So I apologize for that. And if any of you have questions, please unmute yourself and ask your question. So I'm going to wait 1 minute and see if anybody does that.
So, Alex, I do have a question of the PSPS and all that information. Now, is it only email, or are there robocalls that people can receive on their phones or on their landlines, etc.?
Thank you for asking that. So there are options. So you can obviously email. This is one of them. You can also do the robocall, and you can also get text notifications.
Okay. Is there and for things that are happening in the area, like NC Web has a fire map, and it's updated every 12 hours or something like that. Does the PSPS that will give it if there is an outage or something, they will give an area and we'll be able to find it on a map or on the website. Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually a map. So when customers go in, obviously. The customer will need to have their login credentials and be an Edison customer. It'll show you a map. So that way, if you think you're in an area, you can punch in your zip code and it'll give you a heat map to show you the affected area and number of customers. And then if it also gives you the opportunity to report an outage if you're experiencing it and you want to make sure it gets documented. So it does give you that map visibility.
Okay.
Okay, and I have a couple questions. So Alex, by fuel load, I think they mean like the plants around the poles and vegetation and things like that.
Okay,
So-
so is the question asking what can be done in terms of vegetation management, or how, or what role does the vegetation management lead up to a public shutdown?
Yeah, and if you know, if there's like all these fuels, what role does that play in the power being shut off? So I'm assuming vegetation has to come in management. They have to shut the power off.
Correct. Yeah. And then, it also has to do with maintenance, right, of our equipment. Then that's one of the things we are heavily working on right now, is make sure that our equipment is up to date and up to date, not just in terms of the pieces working, but make sure that the area around it, to your point, Julia, is that any bushes or trees are clear to that area. So that way, in the event of an activation, it reduces the risk of fire spreading.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So earlier, I had asked Alex some questions that, and I didn't want to spring it on him because these are big questions. And several people have asked me to ask him about what happens if we have an EMP or a solar flare and the power goes out. And also, what about if the grid goes down, if we have a cyber attack or actual physical attack on the grid? Because we've all heard nightmare stories about what could happen. And that's obviously not in Alex's wheelhouse to talk about it, but he did promise he would try to get some resources for us that we could go to and learn some more about what might happen in those cases. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Alex?
No, I just want to commend the people that provided those questions. One of the things that I always say is that I don't know every single piece of resource that we have at Edison, but the benefit of having this partnership with organizations like you guys is that now you can put a face to the company. I know it's not the most handsome face, but I can count on me as a resource. And I commit to getting you what you're looking for or putting you in touch with the right person. So just thank you for doing that. That's what we're looking to get out of these webinars / meetings.
Okay, and then another question, you were talking about on the COVID, like if a person needs to go on the payment plan, do they need to prove that they're unemployed, and what kind of documentation do they need?
I know that there's guidelines. When I send you the link, I'll list out sort of what's needed. In terms of verification, I don't know. I don't think necessarily we ask for a lot. As long as obviously the customer not being able to pay their bill for a long period of time, that's already something that's a flag that's saying customer needs help. But I'll go ahead and make sure that I pull out that information when I send you the follow-up email with all the resources.
Okay, that's great. And I want to add that the Mountain Community Family Resource Center will help people apply for these programs. If you don't understand them or you need help getting the documentation together and filling out the forms, they'll help you do that. And they're terrific about it. So don't hesitate to contact them. And then you were talking about phone numbers and things. And I just want to say in our Go Bag giveaway that the Fire Safe Council is doing, we have these cards we got from FEMA, and their emergency numbers. So this is what you put all your contact numbers on and anybody you might need. And you can just write all the phone numbers you need to know on here, people that you need to contact or have your emergency plan where you have somebody out of town that you contact and then everybody can contact them. So this card comes with the Go Bag and the radio. So I want to add here, if you haven't already registered for the Go Bag, go to our website at kernfiresafe.org and register to take the quiz. It's called the quiz, but it's actually 3 or 4 questions. Answer the questions, and then you put your email, and then we'll get a list and then contact you to deliver the Go Bag to you. They're fabulous, fabulous Go Bags, and I don't know why everyone hasn't already signed up. This radio is included. This is an amazing radio. You can wind it up to power it. It has a solar charger panel. It has a USB port, and it runs on 3 AA batteries. So that's 4 ways that you can power this up. And it receives crystal clear. And it's got a flashlight, and it's got a bottle opener, sorry, and a hook where you can hook it onto your backpack and carry it. So you should all sign up. And the go bag is awesome. Have it here on the floor. Sorry about that. This go bag is waterproof. It carries about 32 gallons. You can fill it with water if you need to. It has a stand on the bottom, so when it's full, it'll stand up like a can. It's got all these different ways you can carry it. You can carry it like a backpack, or it has a handle, or you can make it be throw it over your shoulder. It attaches here. You can use this as a handle. I mean, it's just an amazing bag. So everybody needs to go and register for that and get your go bags. So, okay, I don't have any more questions. If anybody listening has any questions, please unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question.
Agree here.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing this evening, Alex? I bounced in a little bit late, so I missed about the first 15 minutes, but we are in a partnership with a community. It's called Firewise. Firewise is a National Fire Protection Agency, NFPA program that has partnered with a number of insurance companies across the nation. And part of that program is preparing communities to be what they call Firewise certified. Even though it's not an actual certification program, it is preparing communities, mountain communities primarily, and homeowners to fire harden their houses and their properties and everything else, which all kind of works in the same thing. Edison has been doing a stellar job, by the way, in not only the replacement and upgrade to all their equipment in most of the mountain communities up here across Kern County. But part of that, I want to find out who we contact where we can show, we want to make sure that we incorporate what has been done by Southern California Edison in their efforts to make these communities not only more fire safe, but preparing everybody for the worst case scenario.
So let me first of all, thank you for sharing that, Ed. Let me make sure I understand the question. So you want to contact somebody with an Edison to share your feedback on what has been done? Is that what I'm understanding?
Actually, to get feedback from them on what's been done countywide. I know Edison has a big area they cover, but more specifically for Kern County.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll reach out to my my government affairs person. I don't know their name because we had some changes. But they're the ones that are in touch of what's happening at the county, city level. So I'll make sure that I put them in touch with you guys so they can provide you in terms of updates of what's been happening, but also what's coming down the pipeline.
Very good. That works. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. That's a really good thing that I'm going to look to apply to all my other conversations, because it is helpful to know what's been done and what's coming down.
Well, what's really good about the program is there's a couple benefits that come from it amongst a number of other benefits. But part of it is when communities as a whole become Firewise, in working with insurance companies like Mercury and USAA specifically, they offer discounts on homeowners insurances. And if they have communities as a whole that are part of the Firewise community, they will underwrite policies in those communities knowing that everybody's part's been done in preparing for wildfire. So that's a big thing in California. You know, many insurance companies are not writing in high-risk areas. And we've most recently heard that Allstate is actually going to be moving out of California with regard to homeowner policies, or they won't be underwriting them anymore. I expect that we're going to see that as a trend. It's unfortunate because there are rules and regulations with regard to what insurance companies can and cannot do in California, although it doesn't seem that they're being enforced. So that's good to know that we have two big insurance companies, Mercury and USAA, for those who qualify for that program, that are willing to underwrite in communities of high risk. So anything that can be used that we can incorporate into the program that we can show these insurance companies what's been done countywide is going to be a plus and a benefit. So thank you.
Gotcha. No, thank you. That's really helpful. I'll make sure I get the correct person to provide that information.
That's great. I want to go back to the financial assistance that you were talking about. So because you were talking about that in relationship to COVID and what's being done with COVID needs, but what about when COVID is done and the COVID money goes away? Are these services going to continue if people just are still in a situation? Can they still apply to be put on payments and for those other services?
Yeah, so a few other things. So the programs that I mentioned, the income assistance programs like CARE and FARA, those have been here before COVID, and they're going to be here after. So that's part of just our help for low income folks. The payment assistance, I don't know when that's going to end. There's no end date set yet. But what I do encourage is that, you know, if a person experiencing that hardship, that they reach out as soon as possible so that it doesn't delay it longer, right? And the amount keeps on increasing. So you have a payment plan, and it just gives you ease of mind. The one that it is changing in terms of the amount is the Energy Assistance Fund. So the program is not going away, but for COVID, they were providing a one-time payment assistance of $200 to $300. I believe that I got to look at what month it was going to end because they were still debating. Once they decide to end the COVID part, it goes back to a $100 assistance fund. So that's the one dollar value that will change. But as I remember, I checked last week and there wasn't a clear definition on when that was going to be ending. At first, they said, let's end it when October 1st, when after the disconnection things kick in. But it was pushed back. So I have to look back and see what they landed on.
Okay, and for anybody that's curious, when Alex talks about disconnection, that has to do with the money from the American Rescue Plan, because a lot of the funds for these programs come from the American Rescue Plan, and that ends September 30th. So that's why they were looking at October 1st as a deadline. But if they're, and I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking that if organizations still have some money, they probably can continue to give it away for the rest of this year. So that may be why, but that ends pretty much all these ads you've seen for, you know, apply here for grants. That's all the COVID money is going away. So, okay, it was helpful while it was here. Okay, so here's the last chance. Anybody else that has any questions, please unmute yourself and ask your question, or post it in the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself.
I have a question. This is Kier from Field Institute, the Chavez Environmental Corps up in Tehachapi.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is for Ed about, so you're talking about insurance underwriting for people in high-risk areas, right?
Ed, he was addressing that to you, Ed Wraith.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute there. Sorry. Yes, go right ahead.
So, and then we're talking about fire-wise communities.
That's correct.
That's going to help them get insured. So we just got a grant, a CAL FIRE grant for hazardous fuels that we call the Greater Tehachapi Mountain Fire Fuel Reduction Initiative. And that's for the 3 CSDs in Tehachapi, or 4, I'm sorry. So Bear Valley, Golden Hills, Alpine Forest, Stallion Springs. So I'm wondering if we should reach out to them and let them know about that. Is there somewhere where I can get some more information on that? Especially Alpine Forest, since it's more of a property owners association as opposed to a community service district.
Yeah, is this Bob here?
This is what?
Is your first name Bob?
No, my first name's Kier. My last name's Klingenberg.
Oh, Klingenberg. Okay, I'm sorry. I've
Okay.
gotten there is actually, no, you're talking about the community service districts?
Yes.
Okay, I have actually been in touch with, if I say your first name, it's the same as the last name. I think it's Bob Kier at Bear Valley Springs Community Service District.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and so we have discussed this, and we've talked a little bit about the Firewise programs. And I'm aware of the grants. That's great that you guys were able to get that underwritten. Field reduction is a big thing, as you know, throughout Kern County.
Right.
that's one of the things we'll be discussing with a meeting with Kern County Fire Department next week, as a matter of fact, or a
Okay.
week after next. So part of the Firewise whole thing, and that is the only way for us to really get it accomplished is through public education. And one of the things that we did discuss, and getting the word out is a good thing. And if you have contacts directly with those community service districts, that's helpful.
Yeah, we do.
Bob did want to try to arrange my mind went blank, a public forum, if you will, kind of a meet and greet for the Fire Safe Council to come in and meet the community leaders, service districts, et cetera, and introduce some of these programs. And I have all the literature on that. I can get that to you guys. And we want to try to do that as soon as we physically possibly can, because there is no limit anymore on wildfire season.
Right.
People be year round. So anything we can do, we will do to help. So feel free to reach out. And is Kathleen on? Julie, I didn't see her here.
Kathleen is here, however.
Yes, I am here, and we have been in touch with here at the Field Institute. And so we will be working with Kier as soon as we get some projects for him. And yes, we have been in touch with Bear Valley Springs Community Service District, and I'm waiting to hear back about their town hall that they want to include us in.
Town hall, that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, so guys, maybe you could reach out. Kathleen can connect you, the two of you. She has both of your emails, because this is not really related to Southern California Edison.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You
Thank you
got
for your
it.
question, Kier, though. It's a good one. Okay, so any other questions? Last chance. Come on.
Yeah, I got a question. Could you give that website again to register to get the emergency kit?
Register for what? The alerts?
The emergency kit?
That's kernfiresafe.org.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, well,
If there are no more questions, I just want to again thanking all of you for joining, but special thanks to Julie and the team. This program that we're doing, it's going to be actually a year in a few days, October 1st, that we launched it. And although we had a lot of lessons learned, we also accomplished many great things through the feedback, reporting, and all the amazing work Julie and the team have been doing. We're able to demonstrate not just to management within Edison, but also externally, like the commission, the value and the importance of a utility partnering up with community-based organizations. And, I'm always keeping my ears open for any additional opportunities where I can plug you guys in and talk about the amazing work. And, I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter what good of a strategy or a playbook you have in place. If you don't have the right partners, the right players with you, it's just words on paper or on a PowerPoint. And the fact that we have really amazing partners like you guys, it's what's been making the program be successful, and other utilities reaching out and saying, hey, how are you guys doing it? What kind of feedback do you get? What kind of interactions? And I could talk about all these great things. So please continue to funnel your questions through Julie and the team so that they can get them to me. Obviously, they'll follow up with email with all the resources we talked about. But if something comes to mind to you either later today or some other time, just say, hey, can you ask that guy at Edison? You don't even have to remember my name. Can you ask the guy at Edison where I can get this information? And please let me know. I want to help out. I'm also proficient in Spanish, so if there's an in-language need, I can help out. But if there's other in-language needs, I have colleagues that have made themselves available to support. And that's one of the areas that I think we also need to do a better job, making sure that we truly understand the makeup of our customers to better support them. So with that said, those are my closing remarks. Julie, I want to really thank you for setting this up, and hopefully we can do it again pretty soon.
Hey, Alex, this is Kier again from Field. I have one question for you real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Does Edison have any funding to do fire fuel reduction, specifically defensible space for people who can't do it themselves? Or like the elderly or people that are disabled that can't do that? I know PG&E has some funding for that? Does Edison do that sort of stuff as well?
So we actually have a group that can actually go out there and take care of that. So I can go ahead and provide that information in the email that I'll be sending.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Here, put your contact information in the chat right now so that Alex
Okay.
can get that.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Alex, thank you so much for your time. It's nice to put a face on it, and it's nice to know that somebody else is thinking about it, you know, to help people take care of themselves. And it's really, really important to be a part of it. Thank you for your time and the answers. That's great.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I really did.
Alex.
So thank you. And thank you to Julia, and thank you for all of the people that tuned in. And you found us on our website, kernfiresafe.org. So I want to tell you to go back and see the previous webinars that are listed there, because each webinar had questions and answers that pertain to living safely in this interface that we have in the forest or wherever we are. The resources available on the website are really, really helpful, especially if it keeps you safe from a disaster, whether it's earthquake, flood, wildfires, before, during, and after. Now, I want to tell you, next month we have another webinar, and the title is a little bit big, but it's not so bad. It says, "Do you have enough to rebuild after a total loss?" And this is homeowners insurance and to get the facts. And the guest will be Sally Westlake, Associate Insurance Compliance Officer from the California Department of Insurance. So you're going to get straight answers. You don't have to listen to your neighbor over the fence. And she'll give us updates on changes in California laws protecting consumers. And that's what we need, right? You don't want to miss that one. But that's all we have today, unless Julia has something.
No, this was
Okay,
great,
well-
everybody. I just want to say thank you all for being here. This was great. We had 20 people on our live event today that we're growing, and we really appreciate your participation and support. Thank you.
It helps us all, doesn't it?
It does.
And but from us to you, remember that wildfire could happen anytime, as we certainly have seen this summer. And just so you can be prepared. Okay, be prepared. Thank you, and goodbye for now.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Bye-bye.